continue to bear further costs of the Gold for Reserve program and is seeking reimbursement from the Finance Ministry for its losses. Also tonight, the Ministry of Interior urges the public to take advantage of the ongoing gun amnesty program or face up to 10 years in prison once it ends. And later, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, announces officially approved fees for the University of Ghana for the 2025-2026 academic year, assuring students that there will be no increase in the academic user facility fee. Details of all of these and more coming up for the next 1 hour. We have sports and business also at the tail end of the program. Before that, let's bring you the news summaries.
Now, one person has been confirmed dead, with 30 others sustaining critical injuries following a head-on collision involving two commercial vehicles at Ejisu in the Ashanti region. The accident occurred when a Ford vehicle and a Toyota minibus crashed under circumstances described by eyewitnesses as severe. The vehicles involved were a Ford with registration number AW3264-21 and a Toyota Hiace and with registration number AS3552-20. Eyewitnesses' accounts indicate that the Toyota Hiace, which was traveling towards Kumasi, reportedly lost control while speeding and rammed into the Ford vehicle that was heading from Kumasi towards Ejisu. The accident caused severe damages to both vehicles and left many of the occupants seriously injured. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, has announced the official approved fees for the University of Ghana for the 2025-2026 academic year, assuring students that there will be no increase in the academic facility user fee. In a statement released today and signed by the Director General of GTEC, Ahmed Jinapor Abdullahi, the Commission said the decision was intended to provide clarity and address concerns that had emerged over the university's proposed fee structure. According to the statement, the academic facility user fee will be maintained at the 2024-2025 rate, ensuring that students are not subjected to additional financial burden in the upcoming academic year. GTEC further outlined that there are other approved charges which are applicable to students. Now, SRC fees goes for 50 Ghana cedis, while the SRC development levy is 150 cedis amongst others. Also in court, the Bekwa Circuit Court has granted bail to 28 Chinese nationals and their 3 Ghanaian accomplices, which have been accused of attempting to mine illegally in the Aprampama Forest Reserve in the Ashanti region. The 31 individuals were arrested late last year by the Forestry Commission after they set up camp within the forest in preparation for an alleged illegal mining operation. They were remanded in police custody following the operation first court appearance last week. And finally, the Ghana Police Service has commenced documentation and body inspection for applicants in the Greater Accra region, with reports indicating that the process is running in an orderly and efficient manner at the designated centers. The recruitment exercise, taking place across 12 centers in Accra, had 6 centers operational today, with authorities implementing measures to ensure both safety and efficiency in the wake of past overcrowding incidents during the military recruitment exercises. And again, these are all on our website, 3news.com. Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much. Let's settle for the details. And my name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Do remember that we're also streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, so do let your messages come in on the many stories we have for you this evening. We're starting with issues regarding finance, and the Bank of Ghana says it cannot continue to bear further costs of the Gold for Reserve program and is seeking reimbursement from the Finance Ministry for its losses. At the Public Accounts Committee sitting today, the governor revealed the program is being audited while Gold for Oil has been cancelled since May 2025. The minority in Parliament has filed a motion demanding urgent bipartisan probe into the losses made by Gold Board under the Gold for Reserve program. On December 29, 2025, the group suggested prosecution of the Bank of Ghana governor and the Gold Board CEO where negligence is established. Today, the central bank governor says the Gold for Reserve cost is becoming a high burden. He told the Public Accounts Committee that the program is under external audit, adding that the gold for oil has been shut down, saying the cancellation has reduced queues at the pumps.
It is that these schemes were introduced to address a specific national problem. What to do going forward is how to reform it, how to make it more efficient. A number of things have been done by us. If we have time, I could run you through them by way of reforming it. I have all the details here I can provide to your committee to read for yourselves. But going forward, our appeal is to move in a unified manner. We want everyone to get on board, to reform this better and to sharpen its efficiency so that it supports, economic stabilization, it supports our reserves build-up going forward. At the Bank of Ghana, we have started. This week, our board is having a joint meeting with the board of the Gold Board for a start. Beyond that, we are going to be meeting with other stakeholders, and we will be happy for experts in Parliament to join us. We believe that it can be made a win-win. A friend of mine made a comment that I want to share with the committee on this. He said, if this issue doesn't unite us as a country, then he doesn't know what other issue will unite us. The losses are not new. They were there before 2025. And so rather than apportion blame, let's get to the table. Let's see what to do further. We did a bit last year to reduce some of the charges. What more can we do and sustain it? Other than that, going back to leave the space for the smugglers, going back to leave the space for others. And if you look at how much we've lost as a country by way of leakages over all the years, it is mind-blowing. So our appeal is that we work together, Madam Chair, going forward to reform the space. It will help us as a country. Thank you.
And so that is the governor of the Bank of Ghana, who has been answering questions when he appeared before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, and giving indications that in as much as all these gold for something, it could be gold for oil, gold for reserve, gold for whatever, these programs were specifically designated to address specific problems that the country was facing or the economy was facing. However, over time, we need to review how the implementation of these programs are done, and then ensure that the assessment brings into sharp focus how the country can actually benefit. Although there might be costs in terms of losses, or losses that may be determined as costs, there can be reviews of the program to reduce these losses or the costs that are used in terms of how much the country gains vis-a-vis how much we expend in ensuring that these programs are successful. Now, the governor also mentioned the actual costs incurred over the years.
Relates to specifically for gold for oil, and which losses have been incurred based on your earlier session.
Madam Chair, I have some data here I can provide on the net losses for the gold for oil and also net losses for the gold for reserves. In 2022, the net losses for the gold for oil was about 74.44 million Ghana cedis. We did not have a net loss for the gold for reserves in 2022. Then in 2023, the net loss for the gold for oil was 317.69 million in 2023. On the other hand, the net loss for the gold for reserves, the losses in 2023 was 1,054.84 Ghana cedis. A little over 1 billion was the net loss for the gold for reserves in 2023. Then in 2024, the net loss for the gold for oil was 1.8 billion Ghana cedis in 2024. On the other hand, the net loss for the gold for reserves in 2024 was 3.8 billion Ghana cedis. Now, for 2025, and as we have indicated, this data is under audit, and we will want to wait until the audit is over. We will publish our financials by March this year. When we publish it, the data for 2025 will be provided in those financials. So as I've mentioned, it's not a question about losses then and now.
And that is the governor of the central bank there. So many of you have also been reacting to how all of this has played out, especially on the back of the minorities' question of why the country was losing in excess of $214 million when the country needs all that money. But comparatively, what the Gold Board CEO has said and what the Bank of Ghana has also indicated or reiterated is that if you compare how much we have lost, which is the 214 million Ghana cedis, to how much we have gained as a country, it is 8 times more than the amount of money we've lost. Indirectly adding that the amount we lost is operational cost, or most of it is what we used as operational financing to be able to achieve the mega success that many of us are seeing. So it is not just lost for in terms of wastage of money, but it is something that was used to acquire the successes that we have gained in terms of getting enough revenue or foreign currency to cushion the local currency, which is the cedi. Why now we seem to be having enough inflation is at a single digit. So a lot of economics is being done, and so it is not just wastage in the system. And how all of this is playing out, many of you have started sending in your messages. We are happy that you are following. This is a national conversation, and we are happy that you are a part of it. Let us keep it going. You're still listening to 3FM 92.7. If you go to our website, 3news.com, we're streaming this bulletin there, and you can get many more stories relating to our first subject having to do with the amount of money that the governor of the Bank of Ghana says we are accruing as a country, or we are gaining as a country in the first year of the current administration. Let's turn our attention to security matters now. The Ministry of Interior is urging the public to take advantage of the ongoing Ghana amnesty program or face up to 10 years in prison once it ends. The Small Arms Commission is also cautioning foreigners that anyone caught with illicit weapons or attempting to smuggle them into the country will not be spared. Firearm importation, sales, new permits and registration remain suspended as government and security agencies intensify operations to retrieve illicit weapons. Since 2002, over 10,000 illegal firearms have been destroyed. Police and Small Arms Commission data for the first half of 2025 recorded 122 armed robberies, 342 murders, 70 arrests for unlawful possession, 156 deaths, and 93 injuries from gun-related incidents. The Deputy Interior Minister, Ebenezer Oklete Telabi, says calls for an extension of the amnesty are under review, but once it ends, the law will fully take effect.
Airports are strategic. They serve as a gateway to our country and are central to our economic activities, tourism, and international reputation. For this reason, the role of airport security agencies in preventing the movement, concealment, and misuse of illicit firearms cannot be overstated. Your vigilance and professionalism contribute directly to the public safety and national stability. Ladies and gentlemen, we are aware of the growing public interest and stakeholder calls for the extension, as the CEO said, of the Ghana Amnesty Program. I wish to assure you that the Honorable Minister of Interior is giving careful consideration to these calls. This reflects government recognition of the realities on the ground and the need to ensure that no individual is denied the opportunity to comply with the law due to lack of time. I therefore want to use this platform to strongly encourage all persons in possession of illicit firearms to take advantage of the gun amnesty program. Surrounding such arms is not a sign of weakness. It is a responsibility that protects families, communities, and the nation at large. For those who may be eligible to regularize their firearms, this is the appropriate and lawful path to follow. Let me be clear that once the amnesty period comes to an end, the law will be enforced fully.
And you heard the voice of Ebenezer Oklete-Taylor-Abi, who is the Deputy Minister in charge of the Interior. Now, according to Dr. Adam Bona, thousands of weapons will be destroyed this year, and airline staff aiding the smuggling will face sanctions, and even diplomats will not be spared if caught with illicit firearms, noting that strict background checks are being done before firearm licenses are issued.
Those that were brought so that they can be regularized, we'll take you through the process. If you are someone with good behavior, someone who the law says we can register for you, it will be registered for you after background checks and everything. But those ones that are brought in and cannot be registered, we are confiscated to the state and destroyed. And we have thousands of them that are likely to be destroyed, hopefully this year. Most of these most weapons that are used in committing crimes in this country are locally made weapons. 80 to 90% of them are locally made weapons because they are easy to be made. You have maybe less than 200-300 Ghana cedis, they make it, and they sell them. So they are easy to be made, and they are more dangerous because those fire the BB cartridges. And with BB cartridges, when one is fired into a crowd, a lot of people will take pellets. And so the bill addresses that. Anyone who comes in, even if it's a diplomatic, you enjoy diplomatic immunity. You have a diplomatic bag that is sealed with a diplomatic seal, that it shouldn't be opened. If we have intel that diplomatic bag contains weapons, illicit weapons, it will be opened. It will be opened because then you have weapons, because then you can't come under the guise of diplomacy and bring weapons. So I'm just telling you that even those who think that, oh, I'm covered by some diplomatic whatever, you bring them in, usually diplomatic bags are not open. But if we have credible intelligence that bag there contains firearm and ammunition, and you haven't declared them, obviously it will be open. And if it is opened, I will take you through the due process. So everyone in Ghana is subject to our laws of this country. You are not, no one is exempted.
And that is Dr. Adam Bona there, who is the head of the Small Arms and Light Weapons Commission. Let's speak to security analyst and consultant Richard Kumado. Mr. Kumado, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
You're welcome.
Two things. First, the fact that he says over 80% of all arms that have been seized so far or in the system are locally manufactured. That is quite serious, isn't it?
I didn't hear the question. Please say it again.
Yes, I'm saying that Dr. Adam Bona, who is the head of the Small Arms and Light Weapons Commission, says that almost 80% or over 80% of the arms in the system are locally manufactured. That is quite scary.
Definitely, yes. There has to be a lot of monitoring around what the local manufacturers do and have a system of monitoring in place so that they can achieve security compliance in that regard. It's an area that has been left unregulated for a very long time, and people have taken advantage to mass capacity. And so you realize that not just the numbers, but the sophistication and with the specifications they are producing now makes it a little bit more dangerous to be in the hands of any illegitimate person with criminal background.
Do we know what these arms are being manufactured for? I mean, one would have thought that largely for hunting, and that would mean in the very rural areas where farming or hunting is still part of the daily activities. But for this number to be this high, he didn't clarify whether they are mostly hunting guns or sidearms or whichever weapon they are, but they are locally manufactured. Is there a specific plan, do you know about, that gets to speak to or teach these people about the weapons they are producing?
No, what we said was that those who bring arms into this country as a legitimate business, they have to look at the regulations again, and enhanced due diligence will be required. For those who manufacture some of these guns, they will need to have a monitoring and evaluation system in place so that we know who they are, the total number they manufacture, who are the buyers, the specific zones they go, and what the use and the purposes are. Then for those who have arms and their licenses have expired, they have to be taken through background checks, and when you qualify, you are given an arm. And so these are the three things we said. For those who smuggle arms into this country, then you have violated the law. If they can do it in this way, then the only area left for them will be the traditional authorities who have armories, and they use them for funerals and for festivals and for many of those occasions. If they can capture these 5 areas in a segmented form with a regime that ensures that each of the categories is achieving security compliance, they'll be fine. But then again, these days, I don't think anybody does hunting. So many of these arms that are produced might be for personal use and might be for economic use. People want to use it for protecting their farms and their cattle, and they also want to use it to protect their household. If care is not taken and it finds its way into the hands of illegitimate person with a criminal background, then it becomes dangerous, and that can be very devastating if it's used for criminal activities.
Do you think it's time the Small Arms and Light Weapons Commission, for instance, engage these manufacturers so they form like an association, or they have a recognized body that the Arms Commission can be dealing with, so that anytime you have an issue of either public education or public awareness, you deal with them, then they deal with their members?
Definitely, yes, I agree with you. It's one of the things they have to do as part of the monitoring and evaluation regime. Public education and awareness creation is key, and is to help them in that regard. So we have been pushing this particular area, public education and awareness creation, to the extent that you have said it again. Once you drop off the phone, I'll push it to the small arms and particularly Papa Police, so that many of the platforms they will have, that can become a leading line in the public education they do.
2 final questions before you take leave of us. Do we know, do we have enough data to be able to assess where most of these local arms are manufactured in terms of maybe a regional breakdown or even a district breakdown, so we can align that with increase or decrease in armed crimes? Are we able to tell for now?
If the small arms is not able to do that, the BNI may have the data. But then again, it goes to say what they just did with the press conference. They are supposed to tell us how many guns have been received, how many have been received, under what condition, in which particular zone, in which particular part of the country, what were the types of guns that were retrieved. Probably that may come later, but that would have fed into the data you are asking for. But the Small Arms Commission should be able to tell us the data. If they are not, the BNI and the police in particular will have the crime statistics, and they'll be able to tell us, and they'll feed into their data.
And the second leg of our conversation has to do with the foreigners who may be in possession of some of these arms, where we are told that they need to declare even before arrival, so the security agencies at the airport or the ports of entry know that person A or person B is carrying X weapon. How regularly do we get these kinds of information? Are people complying in terms of foreigners who are coming into the country? Do they comply?
Definitely. We have Ghanaians who also carry arms into certain countries. And normal practice is that you must declare before the point of entry. There are specialized types of people There are specialized types of weapons that they are allowed to carry, and declaration is key. If you don't, then you might be flouting the law and the sanctions might be applied. With military checks with immigration, they have encountered some of these things and they have taken the appropriate actions against people who declare and who did not declare. But it's a usual practice globally that once you have a gun, by the special operations and by whatever you are doing, whoever you are allowed to declare and you are expected to declare at the point of entry. If you don't, you might be flouting the law. For instance, if you are aide-de-camp to the president, everywhere he goes, you go with the arm. There are pastors who also have aide-de-camps that travel with them with arms. There are other specialized attaches and security intelligence officers who carry their arms everywhere they go in the world. And though there are restrictions, but one of the ways of ensuring compliance is to ensure that your identity is declared and the arms and the nature is declared also at the point of entry.
Right. And should the amnesty be extended?
I think so. Few persons have raised issues about extending it so that minimal coverage can be covered and more arms can be retrieved. I would not be entirely surprised if after evaluation they increase it. They increase it for another 1 month or another few days or weeks so that it will help them in that regard. At the end of the day, you have an objective of retrieving the guns. And punitive action is one, but you want to take the guns from the hands of illegitimate people predominantly. If we can give them 2 weeks or a week or a month to enable us to take additional few ones, why not? So probably they will have to look at it again.
Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Kumado.
You're welcome.
And Richard Kumado is a fraud and security consultant and sharing his thoughts. You can also share yours with us on this particular subject of weapons in the system. Your neighbor could probably have a gun which is not licensed or registered or does not have the permission to carry that arm. What do you need to do as a citizen? If you do find anybody like that, you should just alert the appropriate authorities so they can get that arm licensed before you become an unfortunate victim of its use. So that is what the clarion call is from the small arms and light weapons, that everybody carrying or having in their possession any kind of firearm should get it licensed and registered. It helps with the knowing of how many we have in the system and who has what particular type of firearm. And it also helps in the safety of every citizen. So collectively, we all need to ensure that this amnesty granted, people would live by or abide by this order to have all guns in the system registered. Your thoughts are always welcome on 3FM 92.7. Just look for us on Facebook and send us a message. On YouTube as well, this bulletin is streaming. Send us a message as well. Away from that, let's go now to education. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, has announced the officially approved fees for the University of Ghana for the 2025-2026 academic year, assuring students that there will be no increase in the academic user facility fee. In a statement released on Monday, the 12th of January 2026, and signed by the Director General of GTEC, Dr. Ahmed Jinapor Abdullahi, he's actually a professor, I should think. So Professor Ahmed Jinapor Abdullahi, the commission said that the decision was intended to provide clarity and address concerns that had emerged over the university's proposed fee structure. According to the statement, the academic facility user fee will be maintained at the 2024-2025 rate, ensuring that students are not subjected to additional financial burden in the upcoming academic year. And I will speak to an expert or someone who's been following this particular story quite keenly and what in the first place informed the decision of the school to come out with this statement. A bit of background, you would know that the fee structure of the University of Ghana came out. It became a public conversation because many students and guardians and parents said that the fee was on the high side. The university came out to specify that it is the GRASAG fee, which is the Graduate Students Association fee, and the SRC fee that had shot up the total amount that students were supposed to pay. If you'd recall, and you're a regular listener to 3FM Hot Edition, I think somewhere last week we spoke to the GRASAC president at the University of Ghana. He actually confirmed the increment and said that it was an appropriate fee, or he justified that amount and said that it was necessary for students to be able to collectively pool monies together or resources together to build student accommodation, and that is why that fee was there. Well, the university has come out with a revised version of the fees, and let's speak now to Dr. Peter Pateanti, the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies. Doc, a very good evening to you. Thank you for your time. We seem not to have Dr. Peter Pateanti with us, but another interesting twist to all of this is that when we spoke to Deputy Education Minister regarding this particular fee issue, he said that the students, or whatever amount the university wanted to increase by or tell students to pay, needed parliamentary approval. So far as the university has that amount captured for students to pay, it must have parliamentary approval. And from our checks, that particular amount had not gone to Parliament. So could that be one of the reasons why there seemed to have been a reversal of the total amount expected? Dr. Peter Pateanti is with us. Doc, a very good evening to you. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Martin.
What would your initial thoughts be? I mean, we thought that the University of Ghana, which is an autonomous body, quote unquote, could come up with this fee. Parliament approves it, and then it rolls out for students to start paying. But the last few weeks have been, riddled with many people calling for a reduction and the student body trying to justify why that amount is important. Where do you sit on this conversation?
Well, I think that initially there was clarity from GTEC indicating that they should revert to the 2024-2025 academic user fees, waiting for Parliament to approve the fee schedule for public universities for 2025-2026. So I'm a little confused with this letter that is coming from GTEC again. And I think this letter has been reinforced with another letter from Minister of Education. Because the ministry and GTEC do not have the mandate to set the university fees. And I think that is why they initially informed the universities. And of course, the universities also do not have the mandate to set their own fees. It's supposed to go through a parliamentary schedule, a fee schedule, and approved. And when that is done, then that is the fee that is supposed to be used. And I think that was the initial communication from GTEC to the University of Ghana. So I don't know why they have to release this statement again, now specifying amounts that the students are supposed to pay, whereas these are not fees coming from Parliament and that has not been approved by Parliament. I get a little confused, and I think that the tech should stay within its mandate of ensuring that the university does not charge unapproved fees, and also should be in a position to spearhead the fast tracking of the approval for the 2025-2026 fee schedule by Parliament. I think that should be their preoccupation at this stage now.
Exactly.
And not what they would want, they have put out now.
Could this in itself raise some confrontation? Maybe that's not the right expression I want, but GTEC as an institution, the university also as an institution, and its sub-bodies like GRASAG, etc., who are justifying the earlier amount. How could this be better resolved? We know that Parliament has a say in how much the university charges, and that was why initially, when it came up, we had the minister and some members of Parliament come out to say that no, this amount has not come for approval from Parliament, so the university should do the right thing. Looks as this time around, the university is sticking with what the orders of Parliament are, which is just go with last year's approved fees. Could this in itself bring some tension?
That is what I'm thinking. I think that the issue has been solved. Solved now. I don't know whether Eugene is still charging the fees that they have been told not to charge because it's not been approved by Parliament. I think maybe that is the issue. But if that's not the issue, then there's no need for this particular letter. I think what this letter would have been would be to inform the general public that GTEC have been able to impress on Parliament to fast track the approval for the fee schedule for public universities for 2025-26. I think that is the kind of communication that some of us are expecting from GTEC, and not to reiterate something that have already been established, and I think UG is abiding by. The only problem I think I heard the other time was that they were asked to refund some monies, and those monies have not yet been refunded. But the students are still in the university, and I know that there will be ways and means to get their monies back to them. So to reach the point and then release a statement now detailing the fees that the university is supposed to pay, that is going far away from their mandate. I think that this is something that is supposed to be approval from Parliament, and since we've not had that, the automatic level is that they will go back to the previous year's academic fees, and then they use, which I think is a little bit problematic, but that is what the law is supposed to be. So GTEC needs not to put this on their letterhead and indicate the fees that students are supposed to pay for a public university like University of Ghana. Put it in the general public. It's like you are setting the fees for that particular institution, and I think that is too much. That is too much.
Right. And finally, the establishment of a fee review committee, could that be the solution to future problems like this?
I don't even know the because you see the procedure is clear. The problem is that it takes a lot of time for Parliament to approve the fee schedule. So you setting up a fee review committee would still not solve the problem, because you have an act that dictates how university fees are supposed to be increased. So if the universities are able to submit their fee schedule and then it gets to the Ministry of Education and is supposed to now go to Parliament and it delays, it is not the committee setting that is going to solve the problem. What is going to solve the problem is to impress on Parliament to speed up the processes of approval of the fee schedule. That is all. So I don't even understand this committee of review or whatever it is, because you cannot centralize the fee structure of public universities. Okay, so every university has their own way, and the things that will go into their fee schedule, allow them to do that. And then you are supposed to just transmit the information to Parliament for them to now look at it, and then they approve the fee schedule for the public universities. Right. If that is not being done, it means that there's a missing link somewhere in terms of the communication from the universities, Vice Chancellor's Ghana, to the Ministry of Education, and then forward to Parliament. There is some lacuna somewhere in there, and that is where we would need to find a solution to. And also set up another committee to review fees, and I don't think it's that necessary.
Okay, Doc. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
You're welcome.
And that is Dr. Peter Pate-Antwi, the Executive Director of IFEST. And clearly, it looks as though thoughts and opinions are still quite varied regarding this, and then the role GTEC is playing in all of this. And from if you deduce part of what Doc just told us, is as though the GTEC is telling the university how much to charge, when that order or that directive does not lie in the mouth of GTEC. So looks as though there could be some power play ongoing here, but clearly it is all to ensure that the right amount of fees is charged to students, and then they also do the needful of paying. And whenever there need to be any increase or a review of the fee, when that is done or that decision is taken, it must go to Parliament for final approval. So we will wait to see, now that some students are still returning, how soon will this particular order take effect, and what will the University of Ghana's position be on it now that GTEC is ordering it to ensure that they only charge last academic year's fee for students. Your thoughts are always welcome on our various social media platforms. Do share them with us. We'll share it with the rest of the world. You're listening to Hot Edition. This is 92.73 FM. Let's go on to other stories we have for you this evening. And it looks as though a lot more is happening where they country woke up to news about the payment of some specific amounts of money to clear legacy debts, or at least clear majority of the legacy debts that Ghana had accrued when it comes to our power sector. The independent power generators or power producers in Ghana has commended government for settling a substantial portion of the legacy arrears owed to power generation companies in the country. According to IPGs of these power generators, the clearance of the long outstanding obligations represent a major milestone in restoring financial stability and operational confidence across the power sector. Elikplim Apetogbo is the president of the independent power generators or independent power producers in Ghana. He's been sharing a thought on this news that caught many people by surprise, where the mountain debt has been, at least majority of that mountain debt has been cleared by the current administration. Let's listen to it.
We can now have some sort of relief that going forward, you can predict, you can plan your revenue based on what you have invested in the sector. So it's a good environment going forward for future. At the core of it is to ensure reliability of supply. You want to be comfortable in going over your businesses. You have the assurance and the confidence that we are going home or you are going to your offices with the lights on. So it gives assurance to the consumers that lights will be available, because the key factor that has to do with the liquidity of the sector is being addressed. And that is going to affect positively the availability and the supply of electricity to the consumers. The sector is being reformed and it's an ongoing process. I can see the practical steps that are being taken. For instance, one critical issue is transparency and fairness in the sector, as well as independence of the sector from political interference. That was the case in the years past, and that's seriously affected the growth of the sector. But you could see clearly at this time that we are gradually coming out of those influences, and that is actually having a positive impact on the sector. So, in fact, we are moving forward, and things, I believe, will get very well sooner than later. Government or the Ministry of Energy reported earlier the outcome of our engagement with them. About $300 million have been given out by the IPPs as a show of good faith towards our relationship with government. And let me say that formed by the kind of collaboration, the win-win collaboration between us and government. So given us that generosity of 300 million plus to government for free out of the outstanding legacy debts.
And that is the voice of Elikplim Apetogbo, who is the president of the Independent Power Producers Association, whom the government has given an amount of 1.43 billion Ghana cedis, which were outstanding arrears, major, huge debt that had accrued over time, and the government has paid substantial amount of it. Still a bit more to go to finally clear it, but it is a recurring debt. I mean, it's power that we use every day. So as and when the power is produced, then we pay for it, and then we can ensure that the economy runs, because without power, we will have a crippling economy. So it is important, like you heard Mr. Apetogbo himself reiterate, it was quite scary in time past. A few years ago, they had no plan because the financing of running their systems were very low, so they could not plan at all. But with this kind of financing or funding coming in from government, which is to clear their arrears, they are able to better plan, and it gives confidence to investors who are yet to come into the country or are intending to, invest in the country, that issues of power will not be a problem. Secondly, if you also want to go into the power generation sector, you wouldn't have any challenge regarding that. So it's quite a a commendable feat from the current administration, and many people, or many of you who have listened to this and are following our conversations, especially on social media, have also given thumbs up to government for being able to do the right thing, which is to pay or clear its debt. Meanwhile, Judith Brown, my colleague, has also been explaining or going through the data that we have and explaining how the sector slipped into trouble and what the reset is intended to fix. Let's listen to her.
On Monday, January 12, 2026, the Mahama administration announced a payment of $1.47 billion as of December 31, 2025, to stabilize Ghana's troubled energy sector. And while this payment, which cleared part of the debts owed to the power generators, gas suppliers, and other industry players, has been widely welcomed, it also draws attention to a deeper problem: how a sector once seen as an engine for industrial growth became a major threat to Ghana's macroeconomic stability. Now, by the end of 2025, Ghana's energy sector was carrying an estimated $5.6 billion. That's about 80 billion cedis in debt. And without decisive reforms, this figure is projected to exceed $9 billion by end of 2026. But how did we get here? The root of this crisis lie in the emergency power procurement between 2013 and 2016, when government signed several power purchase agreements, PPAs, on a take-or-pay basis to end persistent power shortages. All these contracts required the state to pay for electricity capacity, whether it was used or not. Over time, excess capacity costs consumed more public resources than spending on roads, hospitals, and schools combined. And by early 2020s, the energy sector had become a major source of contingent liabilities. Debts owed to independent power producers, gas suppliers, and fuel providers spilled into the banking system, weakened state-owned utilities, and put sustained pressure on the national budget. While in 2025 alone, outstanding obligations to IPPs stood at about $1.4 billion. And the main distributor, the Electricity Company of Ghana's inability to fully recover costs, created a cycle of non-payment across the value chain. Well, as of September 2025, ECG's technical and commercial losses stood at 27.05%, driven by power theft, billing inefficiencies, and aging infrastructure. Compounding this was a long-standing political reluctance to adjust electricity tariffs in line with real costs. Well, as a result, ECG now accounts for more than $4.2 billion in sector arrears alone. Macroeconomic instability worsened the situation. Most power and gas contracts are dominated in US dollars, while revenues are collected in cedis. And so the sharp depreciation of the cedi between 2022 and 2024 significantly inflated the local currency value of the outstanding debts. Now, the current administration's reset agenda has focused on restoring credibility. In its first year, the government has paid about $1.47 billion to clear gas arrears, restore the World Bank guarantee, restructure IPP debts, and resume programmed payments to power producers. These steps have stabilized the sector, although recent revenue gains at ECG are largely due to tariff hikes rather than deep efficiency improvements. And so the lesson is clear. Long-term stability will depend on sustained reforms rather than one-off bailouts. Judith Brown.
And so we stay we stay on this subject and let you know that what we do know also is that part of the arrears is still remaining, but comparatively that is very small compared to how much government has cleared. So we'll see what the coming days hold for the final clearance of these arrears. What we have heard from the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition is that it is going to take a bit of time, and it's a recurring debt because you use power every day. So as and when power is produced and sold to government would ensure that the right thing is done by paying off that amount of money. In more news this evening, before we go to business and sports, the Minister for Health, Dr. I beg your pardon, the Honorable Kwabena Mintah Akando has directed the management of the Ministry of Health and its agencies to align their programs and operations with the health priorities outlined in the governing NDC manifesto. Speaking at the ongoing two-day management retreat, the minister noted that the manifesto provides a clear framework for key health sector reforms and priority interventions aimed at service delivery, priority interventions aimed at improving access, coordination, and quality of service delivery nationwide. He stressed that strict alignment of institutional plans with these policy commitments is essential to meet public expectation and accelerated sector performance.
It's not as though whatever you are presenting is not good. It's fantastic. But you are not aligning them to the manifesto. You are not owning the provisions in the manifesto. It's not coming out clearly. So you see, a minister will sit down there because all of these are brilliant ideas. We'll go on that direction. We'll leave our document somewhere. 4 years, Ghanaians will ask me, what did you do? So please, it is one of the reasons why we are here. Please, let me see you owning the provisions in the manifesto, aligning what you are doing to the manifesto. Let's go back. Please. I'm not seeing that clearly. We must align ourselves to the manifesto. Take responsibility. There are some of them one agency cannot. One or two must come together because it looks like it is the manifesto promise is for the ministry and the institutions don't care and they are doing their own thing. Please, let's bring them.
And that's the Minister for Health, Kwabena Mintah Akando. The Ghana Air Traffic Safety Electronics Association has issued a formal notice of its intention to embark on a strike. The group cited unresolved welfare, salary, and human resource concerns at the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. In a release dated the 5th of January 2026 and signed by its president, Engineer David Annan Mensah, the association said that the planned industrial action is in line with Section 159 and 160 of the Labour Act 2003, Act 651, which requires at least 7-day notice before a lawful strike. The association, which is the Ghana Air Traffic Safety Electronics Association, explained that the decision follows years of failed dialogue, mediation, and arbitration, despite what it describes as its constant willingness to negotiate in good faith. According to the association, repeated engagements with management have produced no meaningful outcomes. A key issue raised in the statement is what the association describes as inconsistent positions taken by the Ghana Airport Company and their management regarding the status of its members. The association appealed to the Ghana Airport Company Board to intervene decisively to ensure a fair and lasting resolution while reiterating its commitment to peaceful engagement. All right, so on the back of that, we bring this segment to an end. Time now for the latest in the world of sports.
Despite initial optimism, the 44-year-old endured a difficult spell marked by injuries and inconsistent results and internal issues. Alonso was brought in as a manager back in June, replacing Carlo Ancelotti, who left for the Brazilian national team. Although a Super Cup semi-final win over Atletico Madrid offered brief relief, the final defeat to Barcelona prompted decisive action from the club's hierarchy. Real Madrid are now weighing up potential successors, with Alvaro Arbeloa reported to take the interim duty up until they do find a substantive coach. Still in Europe, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has praised new signing Antoine Semenyo after the forward made a positive first appearance in the FA Cup 10-1 thrashing of Exeter City. The Black Stars forward announced his presence with a goal and an assist. Guardiola said that he was satisfied with what he saw from the 26-year-old and highlighted aspects of his game that were already evident during his time at Bournemouth.
The impression is what they have done in Bournemouth for many, many years. Is apparently, I'm pretty sure that is a really nice guy. And in few actions, he showed what he showed in Bournemouth, and hopefully can continue to do it here.
Well, that was Pep Guardiola, manager of Manchester City, speaking ahead of their Carabao Cup semi-final tie against Newcastle. Let's now do some news on the continent, where the Confederation of African Football has launched an investigation into an alleged misconduct involving players and officials during the AFCON 2025 quarter-final matches between Cameroon and Morocco, and then Algeria and Nigeria. CAF reviewed match reports and video evidence and referred the cases to its disciplinary board, with possible sanctions pending. The body is also examining a separate mixed-zone incident involving media personnel. CAF condemned all inappropriate behavior and warned of firm action against those who violate professional standards. Morocco and Nigeria advanced to the semi-finals and will face each other in Rabat on Wednesday, while Senegal take on record winners of the competition, Egypt. Let's now wrap up with some news from the local scene, where Heart of Oak head coach Asiedu-Dartey has thrown his weight behind his two goalkeepers, Benjamin Asare and Solomon Agbasi, insisting that both deserve places in Ghana's squad for the 2026 World Cup. Drawing on past examples, Dramani stressed that healthy competition among top-performing local goalkeepers is vital for the Black Stars.
They are all good for the national team, and so, you know, there were times when we had Salif Ansah, we have Mohamed Odum, and then we have all this, and House of Oak had good goalkeepers who were both in the national team. So I think that is what is supposed to be, because they are all at the top level, because both of them are in their top shape, and so it is the right way to go about it, because both of them are all one of the best, goalkeepers in our local league. And when you give them the opportunity, then the grounds will show who has to lead.
So that was Heart of Oak head coach Asiedu-Dartey bringing an end to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7.